The dating game killer, Rodney James Alcala. Rodney Alcala, also known as the dating game killer, was an American serial killer. He was born on August 23, 1943, in San Antonio. He moved around with his family and, as a result, grew up in various states in the United States. At the age of 17, Rodney joined the Army. However, he was discharged after a short period due to a psychological diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. Ironically, he would later use his charming personality traits to manipulate his victims. Alcala was a charming man who could easily talk his way into gaining the trust of his victims. He used his appearance and personality traits to win them over. His first known crime occurred in 1968 when he attacked an 8-year-old girl, Taylai Shapiro. Alcala spotted her and lured her into his vehicle. When she was in the car, he drove to his apartment. Someone witnessed Alcala getting Taylai in his car. The witness was concerned and followed the car. He called the police. The police found Taylai in a serious condition lying on the floor. Alcala slipped out of the back door. There was no arrest made before Taylai was out of the hospital. She was in a coma for 32 days. After months she was able to get back on her feet. Later he was arrested and convicted of child abuse, but he was released early after serving a short sentence. In the 1970s, Alcala began his spree of murders. In 1978, he appeared on the TV show, The Dating Game, which brought him some fame. During the show, he won a date with a female contestant. However, she refused to go on the date with him due to her intuition about his unsettling behavior.
We're going to have a great time together.
It may be the creepiest episode ever on The Dating Game, because this bachelor looking for love back in 1978 is actually a serial killer.
I'm called the Banana, and I look really good.
No one had any idea that Rodney Alcala had already launched his killing spree when he appeared on the popular dating show.
He was a real creepy guy, a real idiot.
Jed Mills was bachelor number 2, and nearly 40 years later, he's still haunted by their encounter.
This creep comes up and he puts his face practically in my face and he says, "I always get the girl." When I think about what he said, "I always get my girl," he kills him. That's what he's talking about.
What's your best time?
The best time is at nighttime.
Alcala was finally arrested in 1979 and charged with the murders of several young women. He was linked to at least 8 murders in New York, California, and Washington during the 1970s. Authorities believe that he may have had many more victims, possibly exceeding 100. He was found guilty of 5 murders. The trail began in 1980. He was sentenced to death, but his sentence was overturned twice, resulting in more retrials and appeals, causing significant delays in the legal process. He was sentenced to death once more and was placed on death row at San Quentin State Prison in California. During the investigation, numerous photos and personal belongings of potential victims were found in Alcala's possession. These photos were made public in the hope of identifying more victims. Jill Barkham, the women who were killed at the age of 18 in Southern California by a serial killer, Rodney Alcala. The women had been in Southern California for about 3 weeks. The body of the young women was found on a dirt path near Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles. Georgia Wickstead. Georgia was a nurse who was killed at age 27. Her body was found on the floor of her apartment near her bed on December 16, 1977. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Charlotte Lamb. Charlotte was a secretary from Santa Monica. She was killed at age 32. Her body was found on June 24, 1978. In a laundry room off a large apartment complex, in El Segundo. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled. The apartment manager found her body. Jill Parento. Jill was a computer program operator who was killed at age 21. She was killed on June 14, 1979. She was killed by Rodney Alcala, who had broken into her apartment. Her body was found on the bedroom floor. Robin Samso. She was a girl from Huntington Beach and got abducted and killed at age 12, 1979. Her case became one of the most notorious murder cases in Orange County. On June 20, 1979, Samso was abducted as she rode on a bicycle in Huntington Beach to a ballet practice. Her body was found 12 days later. In 2010, while still on death row, Alcala was charged with the murder of 2 other women in New York.
Then there should be some earrings, some pictures with earrings.
During a 2-hour, often rambling closing argument Monday afternoon, accused serial killer Rodney Alcala, who is defending himself in the death penalty trial, sat at the counsel table and spoke in a dull monotone. Alcala could not make his laptop computer project on the large courtroom screen, and he often scrambled to find photos and other exhibits. Alcala spent some of his argument attacking the credibility of Marianne Connolly, 12-year-old Robin Samsoe's mother. Alcala is accused of kidnapping and murdering Samsoe in 1979.
He was found guilty and received 2 additional life sentences. Alcala remained on death row for a long time, but on July 24, 2021, he died at the age of 77 in a hospital in Corcoran, California. He passed away due to natural causes before his execution could be carried out. Rodney Alcala is considered one of America's most infamous serial killers, and his case has led to changes in the American justice system and how suspects of serious crimes are treated. His ability to evade the law and escape arrest multiple times was a notable aspect of his case. The case of Rodney Alcala continues to draw attention from those interested in the psychology of serial killers and investigations into unsolved crimes. Even though Rodney has passed away, his crimes and the pain he caused to the victims' families will be remembered and studied for many years to come. Taylai Shapiro now, she is in her early 60s. She works in the food and beverages industry as a personal professional in Palm Springs. In loving memory, Jill Barkham, Georgia Wickstead, Charlotte Lamb, Jill Parento, Robin Samoe, and more unknown victims.